Good evening and welcome to the presentation this week. So let me start with the market news and then we'll have a look at the key economic highlights for this week, and then we'll proceed into look at some commodity highlights and international stock market news, what has been reported throughout the week. So, starting off with the market performance for the week, the Colombo Stock Exchange gained a sort of a negative start for the week started in 29th August, whereas during the Monday's trading session, both the indices declined. So, SPI declined by 60 points to close at 8,732.47, and S&P SR 20 index also declined by 33 points to close at 2,830.67. But if we have a look at the turnover levels, that was recorded just amount of 1.2 billion, which was relatively lower than this year's daily average turnover. But on a positive note, the foreigners kept on buying, and they resulted a net buying worth of 115 million over 56 million worth of sales reported. But anyhow, the negative sentiment was somewhat turned around during rest of the days in the week. So starting from Tuesday, the stock market gained a bull run. So during Tuesday's trading session, the SPI gained 132 points to close at 8,865.40, and S&P SR 20 index also gained 32 points to close at 2,862.75. So during the day, turnover was amounted to be 1.8 billion, which was higher than the previous day's turnover. And foreign buying also picked up to report a value of 260 million, where 23 million worth of foreign sales were reported. So during Tuesday, the interim budget for the year 2022 was presented at Parliament by the President, and most of the proposals regarding the enhancement of revenue and the rationalization of cost were the proposals were welcomed by investors, so that they remain positive during Wednesday's trading session. So during Wednesday's session, the SPI remarkably gained 205 points to close at 9,075.32, and S&P SL 20 index also gained 66 points to close at 2,928.97. So during the day, turnover was also significantly increased to report a value of 4.2 billion, and that was basically aided by the foreign purchases reported, that was worth of 991 million over 294 million worth of sales reported. And this positive sentiment remained throughout the rest of the 2 days, Thursdays and Fridays trading session, and that was even aided by the conclusion of staff level agreement with the International Monetary Fund, so that they are expecting to deliver 2.9 billion worth of foreign aid or extended fund facility to support the economic revival in Sri Lanka. So that was most weighted news for investors. So they kept on rallying upon that. During Thursday's trading session, also SPI gained 183 points to close at 9,254.81, and S&P SL 20 index also gained 76 points to close at 3,005.32. And during today's trading session as well, SPI further gained 61 points to close for the week at 9,316.45, and S&P SL 20 index also gained another 4 points to close at 3,009.61. So during the day, the turnover level further picked up to report the highest for the week, which was worth of 4.2 billion, and foreign purchases also picked up to report a remarkable value of 807 million over 281 million worth of foreign sales. So all in all, during the week, SPI gained by 5.95%, whereas S&P SL 20 index also gained 5.09%. Both indices gained up by over 5%, and a net foreign inflow was reported, and that was a big value of 1.6 billion. Then let me move on to the treasury yields. Treasury yields for this week has also increased compared to that of previous week. So now the 3-month treasury is standing at 32.89%, which gained over 300 basis points from previous week's yield of 30.51%, and the 6-month treasury yield is 31.28% from its previous week's 29.51% yield, and 12-month yield also increased to 30.5%, gained or increased by 67 basis points from its previous week's yield of 29.83%. So treasury yield kept on increasing for another straight session. If you could remember, during last week also we have seen the treasury bills has majorly picked up. And if we have a look at the spot rate for this week, the LKR appreciated against Great Britain pounds, euro, and Japanese yen, but slightly depreciated against US dollars, because it was reported that the US dollar was recorded a value of 24-year high. So with that, Sri Lanka rupee was resulted sort of a depreciation against US dollar. And if we have a look at the key economic highlights for this week, which I already mentioned, the long-awaited IMF staff level agreement came up with a good conclusion on last 31st of August. And as of that, the IMF has agreed to lend Sri Lanka the extended fund facility for 48 months worth of 2.9 billion US dollars, or special drawing rights of 2.2 billion. And the attempt or the aim of this support program is to restore macroeconomic stability and debt sustainability in Sri Lanka, along with the safeguard of financial stability and the protect of vulnerable and poor, along with the implementation of structural reforms to address the prevailing corruptions in the country. So the staff level agreement is still subject to the approval of IMF management and the executive board. The key elements of the program is have the concern on enhancing Sri Lanka's fiscal revenue and implementation of tax reforms to enhance or broaden the revenue base in Sri Lanka, where cost recovery based pricing for fuel and electricity is also was a major concern under the program. And apart from that, the mitigating of the crisis impact on poor and vulnerable people or parties in Sri Lanka, and restoring price stability and rebuilding foreign reserves. And apart from that, to ensure the health in the banking system by having adequate level of capital and reducing corruption. So these are the key or the major elements that were indicated under the program that the country has to address upon. So as I said, the agreement is still subject to the final approval, and we are looking forward to get the extended fund facility of worth of 2.9 billion. And moreover, it's more important the way how Sri Lanka is going to utilize it. So in parallel to what it was expected by the IMF deal, or what were the expectations of IMF staff, Sri Lanka has presented its interim budget for the remaining 4 months of 2022 last Tuesday. And if we have a look at the key points that were highlighted in the budget speech, the Sri Lanka's budget deficit has increased to 9.8%, which was revised from the original budget deficit of 8.8%. And the said 9.8% worth of budget deficit shows an increase of 13.4% year on year. And And majority of the proposals are with the enhancing Sri Lanka's revenue scheme or the revenue measures by increasing the or broadening the tax base. So it was proposed that the VAT rate has to be increased to 15% over, but it was at 12%. And apart from that, corporate taxes were also announced to be increased as it was previously announced in May. So those tax rates will be effective from 1st of October onwards. And apart from that, the other revenue proposals contain the compulsory tax regulation where people above 18 years old has mandatorily should open a tax file, and the measures has also proposed to increase Sri Lanka's non-tax based revenue, and expenditure in the public sector has been rationalized by allocating more funds to ensure the security and survival of the poor and vulnerable who has negatively affected from the prevailing economic crisis. And looking at the industry impact from the budget proposed, a major consideration was put forward to enhance the activities in tourism sector with the attempt of promoting it as one of the major foreign income generator to Sri Lanka, and agricultural sector activities has also encouraged from the budget, especially the youth has encouraged to participate for agricultural activities, and that was given a major consideration under the budget. So so that was the basic points from the interim budget, and the budget for the fiscal year 2023 is supposed to present at Parliament in upcoming November, and this budget is just to allocate required funds for government activities the rest of the 4 months in the year 2022. And let me take you through some commodity highlights from international front. So most of the commodities declined for the week. As you can see, oil prices also headed for a weekly decline over concerns regarding Federal Reserve's rate hike would have a negative impact on economic growth, and that will decline the demand for oil. And gold prices also witnessed a decline upon the increased or is dollar, and with the anticipations regarding Federal Reserve's rate hike, and aluminium and copper prices also headed for weekly decline, but the rising energy cost has given a negative impact on majority of the aluminium smelters in Europe to close down because the rising energy cost is somewhat unbearable, and it was also expected that the rising trend of energy prices, especially the gas prices, could force some sort of a social unrest in European region in the upcoming winter season. And with that, looking at the global or the international stock markets, majority of the markets ended up with weekly declines for another trade session, with some bets and anticipations regarding again the Federal Reserve's rate hike. And as it was also hinted by the Federal Reserve's chairman, Jerome Powell, at the symposium that was held at Jackson Hole last week, that it was really required to bear some sort of a pain in strengthening the economy, and investors taken it as sort of an indication that Federal Reserve will continue to go for aggressive rate hikes in future. So with this indication, a majority of the investors remain dull, and most of the stock indices declined for the week. Majority of the European shares also weighing down on fresh lockdowns in China and concerns in Ukraine amid rising energy prices. However, UK's stock index was resulted sort of again ahead of Prime Minister election. Yeah, these are the basic points that I got to share from my end. Harin will continue the presentation from here onwards. Thank you. Over to you, Harin.
Thank you, Sachini. So looking at US oil over the past few days, we can clearly see that there was a sharp decline where the price broke below the previous daily support level, which was at $92, $94 per barrel. As we can see right now, the price is basically trading below the daily resistance 90 to 94, where we also can see there's currently a structural low formation which was recorded on 16th August, which is 85.74 US dollars per barrel. So if the price further decline, we'll be able to see it sharply moving towards the next daily support level at 83.85 US dollars per barrel. And the RSI comes to a level of 39.95, which is basically at the mid range. So this clearly indicates us that over the past few days, this sharp decline has been a major fallback for US oil, as the price is trading below the psychological area as well, which is 100. And over the past few months, we were able to see how there was a rapid movement in the price of US oil. And looking at both EMAs, which I added, 18 and 80 EMAs, the price is currently trading below those EMAs as well. So this indicates a bearish momentum, and so this clearly shows that the price is further declining, and this structural formation, which was actually recorded on 16th August, if it breaks further, the price could decline. And looking at today's price movement, we can see that we had some sort of a bullish momentum, but there was heavy pressure, and where there was a bearish momentum at the same time, where the price is now trading 80 at 86.92, where it was basically trading at around 89.64. It made a significant high, today's high, which was actually 89.64. So, like I said, if it breaks the current key level, 16th August low, we'll be able to see it heading towards the daily support of 83.85. Else, a rebound to the daily resistance 92.94 could be expected, and further breaking that key level, we'll be able to see it testing the level of 97.36, which was actually 29th August high, and 30th August. So let's move into our ASPI, which is basically trading above the previous daily resistance, which was 9,000 VB. Likewise, I last week I clearly mentioned that if it manages to break this 9,000 psychological area, we'll be able to see it heading towards the 9,284.11, which was actually August 16th high once again. So we were able to see some sort of bullish momentum happening over that key, breaking above the 9,000 and making it a daily support level. So the next daily resistance is at 9,450, 9,500, whereas the RSI is quite overbought at the moment, the daily RSI, which closed at 72.53. And looking at 100 EMA, 18 EMA, and 80 EMAs, we can clearly see that the index is trading above all the EMAs, which indicates us a bullish momentum too. So long as it is above the 9,000 area, we'll be able to see it testing rest of the key levels. And long as this sustains over this structure high formation that we discussed previously, which is 9,284.11, so this clearly makes sense that the index could actually test the daily resistance 9,455 and 9,500. Breaking above that key level will have the next psychological area of 10,000. And looking at our the topic of the week, which is actually Richard Pires PLC, and looking at it, what we can clearly see is that the price is actually trading in some sort of a ascending triangle formation, but we are missing the third touch over the trend line key area. So we had multiple rejections over the daily resistance 94.5, 95, whereas the RSI is actually in the mid range, which is 62.87, and it managed to close for this week at 62.87. We had a August high, 2022 August high, which is 25.1, and testing that key area, we were able to see how the price actually declined towards the daily support level 22.5. And from that key area, we had a pullback to the upside again, where the price is actually trading above the daily support level of 22 and the daily resistance level of 25. So if this structure high formation breaks, we'll be able to see it clearly moving towards the daily resistance, the next daily resistance 27, 27.5. If it continues to be rejected from this area, we'll see there could be some sort of consolidation or accumulation over the area of 22, 25. So rejections from this key area would basically pull back the price to the level of 22, 22.5. Else, if there is a breakout from this key area of daily resistance, we'll be able to see it moving towards the daily resistance of 27, 27.5 and further to the next key area of 30. So this is a crucial area. So we need to keep an eye on this key level, whereas if it continues to reject, we'll be able to see some sort of accumulation or uh, uh, consolidation happening of this area. So thank you, and I hope you'll enjoy this video. Please do like and subscribe. Thank you. Have a great weekend.